At this time, I will call to order the York County Council agenda for April 21st, 2025. Appreciate folks being out here tonight. And our first item will be to recognize the Honorable Andy Litton with District 2 for invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Everybody will bow their head, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this great day you've given us. Thank you for the sacrifice that you had yesterday and for bringing back to your resurrection. I hope that everybody that has heard this word just has a seed planted, if you haven't already become a believer, and that you just allow that to grow. And we just ask that you be with us and help us to make good decisions and just decisions that would be according to your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do not have any oath of office or appearances tonight. Checking to see if we have public forum. Thank you, ma'am. All right, we move now into our public forum session time. This is an opportunity for individuals who want to come address the council to bring up matters that are related to council jurisdictional issues. Each individual has 2 minutes to speak. When you come forward, after I call your name, if you'll make sure to give your name and your address before you start speaking. And if you also pay attention to the screen, it will let you know when your time is up so that I don't have to cut you off. I will say there are a couple folks to speak on SILFAB. That matter is currently pending in litigation, and the courts are deciding that. I want to make sure that I reiterate that. First individual, Brendan McCluskey.
Good evening. Brendan McCluskey, 729 Warwick Way, Fort Mill, South Carolina, 29708. First, on behalf of the citizens of York County, we the people request a public vote to conduct a full audit of the SILFAB fee in lieu of tax at a scheduled council meeting to ensure compliance. Second, Fort Mill citizens want to reiterate the need to address a critical issue that will affect the health and safety of our children, the risks associated with locating Fort Mill schools near heavy industrial factories that would produce solar cells and create harmful chemical emissions from silane and anhydrous ammonia. Silane is a highly flammable gas that can cause respiratory irritation and in high concentrations, asphyxiation. Anhydrous ammonia is a caustic substance that can cause severe burns to eyes, skin, and respiratory tract. Prolonged exposure to these chemicals can lead to chronic health issues. Air filtration systems in all Fort Mill schools will not filter these chemicals. Sheltering in place will not help the children or staff at these schools in the event of any explosions or releases. Third, lax enforcement of county zoning laws has presented all York County citizens an urgent opportunity to protect our communities. Take action this week. House Bill 4293 and Senate Bill 0530 are mirror bills designed to preserve the integrity of our zoning laws. These bills will ensure that permits issued in violation of zoning regulations are rendered invalid and that unlawful construction is stopped immediately. This would prevent dangerous projects like SILFAB's proposed heavy industrial factory near Fort Mill schools from slipping through the cracks of local protections that are not enforced. Without this legislation, developers can continue to exploit us. Visit www.movesilfab.com for more.
Thank you, sir. We have Victoria, and I cannot make out the last name.
Hi, everybody. My name is Victoria Herbst. I am here from Fort Mill to speak about zoning laws and compliance in York County. First, I want to thank you all for allowing your constituents the opportunity to come up here and express their opinions to you all. It's one of the great things about our democracy is the people, right? So it puts you guys in your seats up there. I tell my child every day, be bold, be brave. That's what I'm doing here. I'd rather be at home having dinner with my family, but I'm here being bold and brave, and I ask you to do the same. I could sit here and talk to you all about how I've heard you talk about zoning and compliance. I've heard council meetings where you all talk about storage facilities and car washes near neighborhoods and playgrounds. So you've established that you care about your constituents and zoning laws and regulations, but I only have about 90 seconds left, so we'll just leave it at that. I could sit here and talk to you about all the dangerous chemicals that all the constituents have been bringing to your attention for over a year. I could sit here and talk to you how chemical bunkers in parcels adjacent to elementary and middle schools is ludicrous, and that's why we have zoning laws and regulations, but I only have 50 seconds left. I could sit here and talk to you, this I have to look at, the Southeastern Pediatric Environmental Health and Specialty Unit recognized your constituents' concerns. They're considered the #1, the gold standard in their field. I could sit here and talk to you and how you all have mentioned jobs, and I agree, jobs are important. But so is the health and safety of your constituents. I only have about 30 seconds left, so I'll leave it with this. You wanted York County on the map. You wanted people to know Fort Mill and Columbia. They know you now. The children of York County know you now. The faculty, the students, the staff zoned for Flint Hill know you now. Do the right thing. Be bold. Be brave. Your county's watching. The children are watching. But most importantly, God's watching.
Thank you, ma'am. Scott Kokenauer.
Hey everybody, Scott Kokenauer, 122 West Oak Street in the beautiful Whiteville Park neighborhood downtown Fort Mill. Hey, I'm here for consent agenda item number 3, case number 24.2. My friend Chris Moody came and spoke about this like a couple of meetings ago. I'm going to ask you to pull it out of consent agenda and deny this request. This will be spot zoning, which will be illegal in the state of South Carolina. This will create another donut hole, which we are all trying to get rid of. We don't need any more donut holes in our county or in the town of Fort Mill. Fort Mill is the water and sewer provider on this project, so this project does not need to be on well and septic. It needs to be connected to that. And I've heard comments about municipalities and the county coming together, playing kumbaya, let's get this thing right. This is our opportunity. We had a council member come before you and ask that you deny this request and let the town annex this property. So this, the use of the property, in my opinion, is correct. It's just it needs to be inside the town limits. It does not need to be in the county. Last meeting, we talked about Highway 21 and the Pennies project on that. So under consent agenda 26 from last meeting, task 4, page 38, this is just comments on this one. I'm going to read, it is anticipated that a roadway design exception, which means variance, will be required and need to be approved by SCDOT to permit the use of curb and gutter, assuming a 6-foot bike lane in a roadway section where the design speed of 55. So I guess all I'm asking for is, can we find out what the exceptions are for this road? You know, why are we already asking for exceptions? This design is by York County, by the designers that York County has hired. This is not by SCDOT. So this is a 100% Pennies York County project. SCDOT is an advisor on this project. So thank you for your time and your service, and everyone have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir. Brandon Langford.
Good evening. My name is Brandon Langford. I now live at 469 Hawks Creek Parkway in Fort Mill. I've come tonight to request a return to lawful governance and due process. My wife and I recently moved away from our beautiful home in Knightsbridge so that our children could remain in the Fort Mill School District and not be forced to attend Flint Hill schools next to Silfab Solar. This was an emotional and financially painful decision for my family as our P&I payment increased by 108% and the interest to pay worsened by $350,000. Not to mention the tens of thousands of dollars in realtor fees and closing costs I incurred. To be clear, I don't consider myself a victim, and this was a choice that we were able to make. But please know there are hundreds of families facing this same decision because of the negligence of Fort Mill School District and this council staff that continues to violate due process in the case of Silfab. Silfab leases a property zoned for light industrial, but we all know Silfab's intended use is heavy industrial when we see heavy industrial construction tractor trailers and industrial-sized chemical tanks being installed. However, Silfab never applied for and therefore was never approved for a change of use, and due process was avoided. A citizen properly appealed Silfab's civil plan approval, but was told the appeal wasn't done in time, even though it was made within 5 days of the approval being posted in the county website, which was well within the 30-day requirement. Therefore, due process was denied. Following the 5-0 unanimous BZA decision, rather than making an appeal, somebody in York County management chose to ignore the BZA. I wonder who made that decision, and where is this approval to ignore the BZA? Where is the due process? Yet, even today, a permit at 3:45 p.m. today was approved by York County staff to continue construction. How is it possible to claim reverence for the judicial process to play out, but violate constituents' rights in favor of this development? I request that this council revoke all of Silfab's permits until a verdict can be reached so that the recklessness can stop, confidence can be restored, and certainty for Fort Mill families' health and safety can be assured. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ashley Horn.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Horn. I live at 4104 Banbury Drive in Fort Mill. I'm here today to request that the county council hold a public vote at a scheduled county meeting on an audit of Silfab's fee in lieu of taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate everyone for coming out tonight. That concludes our public forum session. We'll move now to our consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agreement.
The motion is to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second? Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, consent agenda is approved. Move now to first item. There are no public hearings tonight. We do start with old business. First item, council to consider providing third reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 155 zoning code subchapter F, nonconformities, to allow existing nonconforming lots to be made less nonconforming through lot combination or recombination, to allow for the limited expansion of nonconforming residential and nonconforming non-residential uses, to provide for a public hearing, and to provide for other matters relating thereto.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, council to consider second reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 154 Land Development Code to revise the definition of minor subdivision to exclude lots created prior to October 21st, 2019, to clarify that division of a lot into 7 or more lots requires preliminary plat approval, to provide for a public hearing, and to provide for other matters relating thereto.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? I would like, prior to third reading, if I could get an answer on whether or not homes that have been permitted on roads that, or minor subdivisions, this falls in the non-conforming use for homes. Mr. Kendry, do you understand? Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item number 3, council to approve second reading of an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of an infrastructure credit agreement by and between York County, South Carolina, and that certain entity or entities identified by the county as Project Unagi, whereby certain property will be subject to certain statutory payments in lieu of taxes and benefit from certain special source credits. The placement of property comprising Project Unagi within the boundaries of a multi-county park, to provide for other matters related thereto.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Move now to first item of new business, the fiscal 20-year budget presentation from our county manager. Mr. Edwards.
Yes, Madam Chair, County Council, it's great to be here this evening. In your inbox, you will find our FY26 recommended budget. I know we've got a number of meetings ahead of us, but after listening to y'all last year, we wanted to make sure you received my recommended budget at least 2 weeks prior to first reading. So first reading of the budget will be at your next County Council meeting. As I reflect on my first year here at York County, I'm full of gratitude for the hard work that we've accomplished together with y'all and with staff. I think it's important as we think about the annual budget that we remember that it provides the resources to fund the implementation of the strategic plan that y'all worked so hard last summer to develop. Y'all spent multiple retreats, multiple days together. Staff spent multiple retreats to develop a shared vision for York County. And in that, in September, you adopted our 3-year strategic plan. This truly is the foundation and the framework we used as staff when we developed this recommended budget. So as you read through the budget, you will see many connections, many seeds are being planted that will help us make sure that we're able to implement the strategic plan over the next 3 years. It represents our commitment to effective and responsive services for our residents. It reflects our dedication to supporting and empowering our county employees, our making sure that we invest in important infrastructure, but also making sure we focus on the priorities that you've set out for us over the next 3 years. I'm grateful for not only the time you spent on the retreats this summer. You've already dedicated 4 budget workshops this year, starting in January. You've spent 2 days, a Saturday with us, providing y'all's feedback. And all of your feedback as county council has been incorporated into this FY26 recommended budget. I want to thank our budget director, Trish Startup, and our budget team, who's been focused on developing our first budget document. It's over 200 pages of information for y'all to digest, and we couldn't do it without Trish. I also want to thank the team that's helped her. Our assistant managers have worked closely with all of their departments. Obviously, one of our assistant managers is our CFO, and he's been deeply involved in this process. I want to thank our finance team, our internal audit team, Aaron in the back there, economic development, and HR. This has been a cross-departmental initiative to deliver our first budget book like this. And we hope you enjoy it. We hope it has all the answers to all your questions, but I can't guarantee that, so we'll find out. One of the things I want to make sure, though, is that we thank our department directors. One of the things that Trish has done is developed an updated budget process, and our department directors with their staff developed requests that we've reviewed as a manager's office, as a team, to determine what we could afford in FY26. Our department directors have worked closely with their teams. They've developed departmental strategic plans themselves based on the organizational strategic plan. Their departmental plans have informed their requests, and of course, we couldn't afford everything. But what we could do was make significant recommendations to y'all to help them start the hard work of implementing the vision for their departments. What's important is that each of our annual budgets moves us further to accomplishing our long-term goals. And I do believe that this budget accomplishes that currently. I want to give just a couple minutes to show what this document's going to look like. As I shared, it's over 200 pages, but there's going to be opportunity to better understand the context of our community. So you'll have an economic outlook, an introduction into our community, and then there'll be a budget message, which is my opportunity to share with the community and with y'all what I see are the priorities for this year. Of course, we'll talk about the millage and revenues and expenditures and capital projects. There will also be an overview of the positions that we're recommending be added to this budget, which is a major driver of all budgets. There'll be an overview of our organization, and there's all sorts of information in the appendix to help answer people's questions. We'll have a summary of all FY26 personnel, a general fund summary, and a listing of all boards and commissions. We're providing the information and the context that show why I'm recommending what I'm recommending in FY26, and we look forward to working with y'all over the next 3 meetings to refine and add and subtract as y'all give guidance. Just as an example, I wanted to provide some of the information that is in my executive message, where this budget is going to be $173.4 million in the general fund, and we're seeing increases of approximately 8% year over year. We're sharing information in terms of the value of the mill that we've previously shared with you, but we're seeing the countywide value increase about 5%, when the unincorporated is increasing about 6%. Some of the major drivers that you'll see more information in the budget book reflect the fact that we have 2 very new departments. 14 of the 34.6 FTEs that I'm recommending are for either parks or our utilities department. And these are 2 new initiatives and focus areas of county council and of staff to make sure that we're setting up our departments to be successful, to accomplish the vision y'all have outlined. This is one example that you'll find, one page in my executive message, where we're connecting many of the requests in the budget to strategic plan initiatives and goals. Here you can see us outline our quality infrastructure goal and the different items that help us connect the budget to the strategic plan. You'll find more information in the executive message that outlines that. I wanted to point to future meetings. So last year we heard y'all loud and clear. You wanted the budget attached to first reading. And I told y'all, and we've delivered, that you would have a budget book in advance of that first reading. So attached to the first reading will be this budget book, and we'll have 3 readings starting then. You can see all the budget workshops y'all have already been through, and then first reading on May 5th, and then we'll go from there. As always, I would encourage y'all to share any ideas you have early in the readings, and make sure that we're able to answer y'all's questions, and this continues to be a collaborative process. So I would appreciate any feedback as we go, but I think if you read the budget book and you dive into what we're sharing in terms of the priorities and how it connects, a lot of your questions will be answered, and we can go from there. But I'm ready to work with y'all to answer your questions. Staff is prepared. And we're very excited about the next 7 weeks as we continue to finalize this budget. So in closing, I just wanted to thank staff for all their hard work. I wanted to thank our budget director and our CFO and the team that I mentioned earlier. We have rallied together to develop over 200 pages of information for y'all. We're aligning our strategic goals with meaningful investments in not only our people, our infrastructure, and our future. And with that, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. We've got our work cut out for us.
Yep.
Move now to item number 2 in new business. Council to approve financial participation agreement with SCDOT for the Exit 85 interchange project.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Move now to item number 3. Council to consider first reading by title only of an ordinance to amend the code of the County of York, South Carolina, Chapter 153, Sections 153.31A and B for the purpose of restructuring the membership of the Economic Development Board, to prescribe the new composition of the board, to set out the transition period for members and terms, to provide for public hearing, and to provide for other matters relating thereto.
Motion to defer first reading until our May 5th meeting. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Is there a reason for the deferral?
Yeah, so we had a long meeting on April the 7th. We got out a little after 10, then we had a workshop the next night. Our Director of Economic Development was going to actually talk about the ED fund and the ED board, but we didn't have a chance to do that. So I think this is one of those times where council needs to be educated on what's in the ordinance right now. I don't know if you all have read the ordinance that define the ED board, but if you haven't, we'll get that out to you. And so I think we'll have more information so we can be more informed in deciding who we would like to be on the ED board. So if Mitch and Mark can come and present the information to us on our,
the May 5th meeting, then I think we'll be all a little more informed, and we'll have a sound opinion on how we think the ED board should be reformed, because I don't think they've met since 2022.
So here's why I would agree with Councilman Huckabee. So I don't know a whole lot about the Economic Development Board. Just read the summary letter that was in the packet, and I hadn't had a chance to watch the Economic Development Committee meeting. I don't even know if it was recorded, but without knowing why the board had quit meeting since 2021, what the previous ideas and problems with that board was, why we're changing it to a different type of board composition, I would just like a lot more information on it personally, because I couldn't make an informed vote at this point on what it is at all. And I don't even know, I don't know if it's a council meeting thing or if it's a workshop that we need to discuss this at. I don't even know if it can be, I know we're pushing up on some time frames. You know, we're starting to get into the summer months where our times are, you know, we don't have as many meetings. I don't know if it's there's a reason to push this, even that it needs to go faster, but I would just like to have a lot more information because I just don't understand it.
Yeah. So, yeah, again, I agree with you. I think that there were reasons why there was, the past board may have been disbanded. Again, this was prior to us being on, so I think it'd be good to have that education. I'm a firm believer that the balanced approach, though, I think we've talked about it a little bit, just to make sure every district is well represented as we move forward with putting together an economic board. I think that's really critical.
Any other discussion? Certainly, don't argue with having more information. I think when we had the committee meeting, we talked about making sure that we nail down what actually this board is going to do is key. The recommendation that came out of the committee was to ensure that each council member had a member on the board, and I certainly support that. I don't think that we need to rush it, but I will maintain my position on that because I think each council member needs to have representation on the board, and I have lived through some history on this, and I do think that it's important and important for the folks in the community when economic development decisions come up that they know that that they're had representation on that board. So I'll be happy to support deferral. I maintain the position that I've taken previously. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it will be deferred to the first meeting in May. Committee and other reports, we don't have any of those, and we don't have any citizen concerns. Do we have any council member new non-agenda comments?
Yes, I just have a quick question. So we are holding off on doing the Public Works Committee meeting about?
I think what we were trying to do is to make sure that they had come up with whatever was going to be presented to the council during the budget process so that you weren't having to duplicate that since we just have these few weeks. But if you want to take up the other issue of the, I'm certainly not holding back. If y'all want to meet, I think it's been assigned to your committee. I think the point was to try not to make you have duplicate meetings on a similar issue.
Yes, our understanding was that would start after the budget's adopted in June, that y'all would start meeting. But if you want to talk with Kevin and I tomorrow, we're happy to discuss when you'd like the first.
I just didn't know how I was going to plan my summer. I didn't want to be tied up dealing with that if I can avoid it as well, so after.
It's been assigned to you, and you can take up the meeting if you want to.
Right.
We just were trying to make it easier, but
Gotcha.
either way you want to do it.
Yeah, just give us a call tomorrow. We'll work through it.
Any other non-agenda comments?
Yeah. So I just want to piggyback off of comments I made a couple weeks ago. I continue to see very heartbreaking things happening in my district, and this is coming around CILFAB and the impact on families. I've had, I think, 5 homes in my development alone. The families have sold their homes, lost a lot of money, and these are great people, great families, and I tell you, this is very, very heartbreaking. I am in full support of an audit for CILFAB, fee and lieu, and also a cease and desist for CILFAB. Again, this is very heartbreaking, what I'm seeing happening in my district. So that's my comment.
Anyone else?
I agree with what Tom said. I'm having lots of phone calls. I even had a couple of phone calls from children crying and wanting to know why they have to go to that school and what will happen to them if they do go to that school. That's a hard conversation. It's a hard pill to swallow. So I would like to support an audit of the fee in lieu and also cease and desist.
Anyone else?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask the Planning Department and the Planning and Zoning Committee to pick up the topic of height restrictions. We have a data center coming into Lake Wiley, so we probably need to add that to our agenda and look at industrial and commercial heights as well as hotel heights in the county for the future. So I'd like to refer that to committee, please, if we have consent from council to do so.
At this point, my understanding is that management was addressing this issue independently, and that would be updating council in executive session on the best approach. I know that the issue was discussed at Economic Development Committee. Is that something that management is asking to be referred to committee now?
My understanding of Councilmember Huckabee's point is to look at a more general view of it, longer term. What I'm focused on with my team is more of the short term, but that's up to council if you want to address the larger view of it.
Am I hearing you to say that the issue with the data centers is being resolved separately?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, and so your request is once again to do what now? To raise roofs across the board in what?
Not necessarily. Ask the Planning Department and the Planning and Zoning Committee to explore this, to understand what's taking place in areas that are growing like York County, so we can go ahead and plan ahead, so we're not placed in a position where we're reacting to something later on when it comes up on our agenda. We can go ahead and make some informed decisions now, or not make any decisions, that at least have the information to understand what's happening in other areas that are growing like York County.
So the request is to refer height restrictions across the board for all heights for every zoning classification. As the chair of that committee.
We can discuss it.
Thank
I
you.
think we should discuss it, but
There
I'm
any-
not in favor of that, but certainly. So, but hey,
I think what I would ask is that maybe we at least, that's a pretty comprehensive across the board. Is there a particular area that you want to look at first, a specific zoning classification?
Really
or
just
a use?
industrial, commercial, and hotels. When you think about hotels today, our height restriction doesn't allow a hotel of the caliber that's being built today with a restaurant on the roof or a pool on the roof and a parking garage underneath. You don't have enough rooms to accommodate in a 50-foot height restriction. So instead of someone coming to us in the future and saying, hey, we'd like to build a hotel in the county right on the line close to water and sewer, but we need 65, 70 feet excluding the parapet wall, is something that we could go ahead and discuss now.
As I understand, the referral to committee is to review the height requirements in industrial, commercial, and what was the other? Hotels. Is there anyone that objects to that being referred to committee? All right, we'll refer that to
Thank
committee. Any other non-agenda comments? Well, tonight is the last meeting for someone who's been with us for a good while. Aaron Siegler has been our county auditor for a long time. He is one of the smartest, most talented folks I have met. We hate to see him go, even though he's not going too far down the road. He has gotten an incredible opportunity that I certainly don't blame him for taking with another governmental entity in our county. I just want to make sure that I recognize him tonight and let him know that our council thinks that you have done a fantastic job here. We are glad to know that you aren't going too far away from us, and we certainly wish you the best in your new endeavors, and we appreciate the work that you've done for the people here in York County. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. Appreciate you.
That concludes all of the action items that we have. Do we have a motion for executive session?
Yes, we do. Receipt of legal advice, legal matters in litigation update, receive of legal advice, contractual matters, interstate exchanges, personal matter, county auditor's office, personal matter, county attorney, annual review follow-up, proposed contractual matters, receipt of legal advice, retention of outside counsel, contractual matters, economic development, Project Montalban.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move straight into executive session. We are out of executive session. No action was taken. Do we have any motions?
Yes, we do. Motion to authorize settlement of combination action regarding Project US 21 SC 51, Project 1149-004, Track 107, as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next one, motion to approve Amy
Bohealer.
Bohealer for the interim audit effective as of May 1st, 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye. Motion to authorize the issuance of $250,000 bond from the Economic Development Fund as part of the incentive offer in pursuit of Project Montalban.
Second.
Motion and a second.
That would be.
Grant. Yeah.
Grant, excuse me.
Second.
Motion and a second as amended. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.